Hi, welcome back to the channel. Okay, so as I said in my previous video, which was about animal welfare and the carnivore diet, today I'm going to look into the equally controversial topic of the environment and the carnivore diet. So the carnivore diet is an elimination diet where plants are not consumed, fruit, grains, zero plants whatsoever, and only animal products are eaten, so meat, fish, eggs, and some dairy. Now, I'm no expert in this topic whatsoever. I thought it was important to cover it because it seemed like the natural follow-on from last week's video, and it's an extremely important topic that we're all being asked to be aware of in our lives on an everyday level. But yeah, as I say, I'm no expert whatsoever, so I've looked into it for my own benefit, and then I'm putting it out there for people to contribute their own ideas and information. Okay, so I think we're all by now familiar with the idea that animal agriculture is a leading contributor to greenhouse gas emissions, which contribute to climate change, and also that raising livestock leads to deforestation and habitat destruction and could also exacerbate the issue of water scarcity. So what do carnivores have to say about that? I have looked into the counter-arguments put forward by carnivores, and we're going to discuss certain misconceptions around veganism that could be misleading, and at the end I'm going to address the issue of conspiracy theories, so stick around for that. Okay, so what are the counter-arguments to critics of the carnivore diet who say that the diet is wasteful due to the volume of resources needed to produce animal protein? Well, I would say that animal proteins offer a more complete nutrition, and so that would lead to fewer food cravings and overall better health. So that's going to reduce overconsumption as well as food waste. And that's something that I've directly experienced. I completely subscribe to that argument. It's quite shocking in a good way how much less food packaging I have to deal with now. I get my meat from the butchers, which wraps everything in paper. Any leftover meat I give to the dogs, and I don't get any cravings in between meals. So I'm simply not as wasteful as I was, and the food that I eat just takes me further. I would say that is definitely more sustainable. And I would also argue that if you are in better health, you are probably better for the environment because you're using, first of all, less medical resources and able to make sort of long-term. When you're sick, all you're thinking about is getting through the day. You're not going to be thinking about the long-term consequences of your carbon footprint when you're sick and ill, and you're not going to be contributing to society in your most productive and best way. There's a lot of research about how the environment can harm human health, but what about the other way around? Can human illness harm the environment? That was something that came to my mind, and I did a bit of further research, and indeed I came across a study from Cornell University, a postdoctoral scholar, Catherine Fiorella. I'll put a link below. And this postdoctoral scholar found that yes, in this study of fishermen in Kenya who were sick, there were sustainable fishing practices that everybody was supposed to follow, which involve fishing in deeper waters overnight to target the more sustainable mature fish, so that the fish stock wouldn't be depleted. And this study found that the sick fishermen didn't care about that. They just wanted to get their fishing done as quickly as possible using little energy possible. And they focus on short-term goals, not long-term goals. So that's very interesting. That's a 2017 study. It is a micro-scale study, but I think it illustrates my point quite well. So I wanted to include it. Yeah, if you in a generally sickened population, you're going to see increased dependence on resources and less productive individuals working to address society's biggest problems. I would say that health comes first, both on an individual and societal level. That's got to be in place, and if we're not eating the optimal human diet, that can only be bad news for the environment and society. Now let's take a closer look at plant-based diets. So the narrative that plant-based diet is more sustainable might not be as clear-cut as it first seems. I think it's important to acknowledge that not all plant-based options are automatically eco-friendly. So soy is often celebrated as a sustainable protein source, but the reality of large-scale soy production is that it leads to deforestation and habitat loss, just like livestock grazing. And monoculture farming contributes to soil degradation, as well as the extensive use of pesticides. So yeah, I think comparing land use between diets is a complex matter. And yes, it's true that raising animals requires land, but so does growing crops for plant-based diets. The key lies in finding a balance that minimises negative impacts, regardless of dietary choices. So for those who still choose to consume animal products, supporting sustainable and ethical farming practices, as I talked about in my last video, regenerative agriculture, rotational grazing, reduced antibiotic use, all of these are approaches that can help minimise the environmental impact of your diet. A few people in the comments last week mentioned that I look into the Alan Savory Institute. Alan Savory is an environmentalist who's been around for a few decades, and he has found that grazing animals actually helps the environment. So the Savory Institute promotes large-scale regeneration of the world's grasslands through holistic management, which involves properly managed grazing livestock to heal the land and to prevent desertification. So having animals grazing on the land helps to, I believe, create the topsoil, which prevents excess water runoff and desertification. Fascinating. There's a TED talk, and I will put the link to the YouTube channel and the website below. So now we're moving into the realm possibly of conspiracy theory, and this certainly isn't the forum for that. And I don't also want to express an opinion on the matter of the environment, because I can't claim to have any knowledge of this. All I know is that there are debates over whether CO2 is the cause of climate change, because the Earth has gone through cooling and warming periods in the past, and CO2 appears to be beneficial for plants to grow. So I don't want to put a counter-argument to the CO2 debate. I just want to convey that it is still a debate. It's not a foregone conclusion. And I think that it's really important to remember that all science is always an ongoing discussion, whether it's medicine, whether it's the environment. Our beliefs should not dissuade us from examining new evidence, or at least engaging with different arguments. Also, I think it's important to bear in mind that we do have a problem in this world with top-down, unaccountable, profiteering governments and multinational corporations. So if we're being encouraged to eat a poor diet and take heavy medications, what else are we being misled about? Climate science may be funneling everybody down a particular narrative. So it's just in the Daily Mail. A Daily Mail article came out, I think it was just yesterday, where a climate scientist admitted to focusing solely on global warming in a paper about the United States wildfires and deliberately ignoring other key aspects in order to get published. And from being in academia, I can tell you that's exactly what I experienced. I had to self-censor. Yeah, it's very hard to get published if you don't toe the line. So I just think it's really important to bear these things in mind. They often don't get made explicit, the machinations behind the scenes of profiteering and politics that could influence wider society. One of my concerns is how the CO2 argument, whether it's true or not, let's say it is, let's say it totally is, and I shouldn't even be expressing any doubts about it, but still, how might it be exploited to restrict our freedom of choice? We should protect our freedom of choice to live medication-free and follow the diet of our choosing, if that's what helps us. So I'm not quite sure what to cover in next week's video, but I do want to say a huge thank you, as always, to all of your wonderful comments and support. Adja Matthews and Trigaricus, I don't know if I've pronounced that right, have sent me super thanks, and I'm absolutely blown away. It wasn't even me that activated the super thanks button, it was Anthony. He's got access to the channel, and he's been uploading shorts and activating things without running it by me first, and then I received these super thanks from some viewers, and I just don't know, I can't tell you how grateful I am. I've been out of work for 7 years due to illness, and it's been a struggle to get back into the workforce for many reasons. I had no idea that my YouTube channel would grow. When I started the carnivore diet videos, I had 40 subscribers. Now I've got nearly 2,000, so it's just suddenly turned everything around, and I feel like I have a purpose and a mission, and it's the support of people like you that are keeping me focused on that mission and determined to keep spreading the word. So yeah, I don't know what I'm going to look at next week, but I will put out a video next week and I look forward to seeing you then. Cheers, bye.